Day 2, Matthew 2. There's no pregame talk for this one, so we're just going to hop straight into it. Matthew 2, 1 through 15. Okay, so already in verses 1 through 2, we see something really strange, like really weird, and you probably won't notice it first time you go around. Verses 1 through 2 talk about how these wise men go and talk to Herod about where Jesus is born, because they want to go and they want to find him and they want to worship him. But what is a magi, and why would they want to go and worship Jesus? A magi is somebody that believes in Zoroastrianism, and Zoroastrianism is actually a completely another religion in its own. It is kind of weird. It has its own god, so they're not even like Christians or even a branch off of it. And they're also astrologers, but they also believe in black magic. So they're kind of like sorcerers or mediums. So it's weird how a sorcerer and mediums want to meet Jesus Christ. They want to meet him. It's really weird, and they want to worship him. Not even just say hi, like, hey, how's it going? Congrats on your baby, Mary and Joseph. No, they want to worship him and bow at his feet and praise him. And that's really weird, since they don't even believe in him. So basically what it's saying, and why it's in the Bible, is because it's saying how God can save anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you do, God can still save you no matter what you're doing. Yes, for some wise guys, they believed in some weird stuff. And now we have another new character to add to the story in Herod. Now Herod is not a good character in the story. He's actually a bad guy, as we see. And a really funny thing about it is that Herod was so bad and so, I guess, not jealous of his throne, but he wanted to keep his throne so bad that he even killed his favorite wife and his sons. Like, he killed his family because he was scared that they would dethrone him. So this guy was seriously paranoid. The glare. Okay, so now some time has passed in the story, and the wise men finally meet up with Jesus and the fam, and they actually meet him at their house. And we know it's at their house and not the manger, because in verse 11 it specifically says, into the house, not a manger. And now that they're at the house, the wise men begin to worship Jesus and bow down before him, and they give him some gifts. Well, not him, but Joseph and Mary, because it's hard for a 2-year-old to bear a gift, really. So, but they give him gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and these 3 gifts actually end up being huge on this little trip that God sends them on to Egypt. When the angel talks to Joseph, he tells him to move away to Egypt because Herod is going to start killing the babies. So he tells him to flee, and again we see Joseph's obedience and trust, and he just immediately moves and leaves. And this is actually a big thing when you think about it, because he's moving away. He's leaving his house that he just got, and he's leaving clients, because remember, he was a carpenter. So he's leaving new clients, and he has to go and make new ones again. And not only that, but he has to walk over to Egypt. He can't just call up an Uber. He has to move. And with that little spoiler about Herod, we're gonna move on into verses 16 through 23. Okay, so this section starts off really sad, because it starts off with Herod beginning basically a massacre of killing 2-year-old males, well, 2 years and under, because he realizes the wise men have not returned, so they probably figured out what his intentions were. And now he's trying to protect his throne by killing all these babies and hoping he gets Jesus in the end. But we know you can't get Jesus because he over there in Egypt. We see this little weird stanza thing in verses 17 through 18. And that little stanza is actually a reference to Jeremiah 31:8. And we've already seen it a few times with Matthew. Matthew likes to reference the Old Testament a lot for prophecies that are being fulfilled. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the stanza, and we're going to see what it's about. Okay, so Ramah is a city that is 5 miles north of Jerusalem and 11 miles north of Bethlehem. It's actually not that relevant to what I'm going to say, but it's just for your knowledge, so you know where it is. And the Rachel is Jacob's wife, Joseph's mom. Now our guy Joseph, Old Testament Joseph, the one that became a king, that guy. And it's kind of trippy in Jeremiah 31:15 because it's more of a vision that Jeremiah is having. And it's about Rachel weeping over her son Benjamin. And if you know about the story, Rachel died having Benjamin. So that's why it's kind of trippy, because she's already dead, but she's weeping. So you kind of got to go over there and read it. It's a little hard to read because Jeremiah is a prophet and he's prophesying it, but it's a kind of vision. So that's a little trippy, but yeah. Matthew throws this in though because just like how Rachel wept over her son, these mothers are weeping over their sons that Herod has killed. And just like how Benjamin was a baby, luckily he lived, but these babies died due to Herod's wrath. So the moms are weeping, there's a lot of mourning, and the families are devastated because they just lost one of their kids. And Matthew is stating this because in Jeremiah 31:15, there's a new covenant that God promises that, and since Rachel wept and there is a new covenant, that now with these mothers weeping, there will be another new covenant, or the same new covenant, I guess, because it's Jesus. So that's the parallelism with it. That was a lot. Now, after all that, let's go to verse 20, and let's see the trend that we have. So the angel comes back again to Joseph in a dream and tells Joseph, hey man, you gotta move again. You gotta go to land of Israel. It's time. Because now Herod is dead. So there's no real fear to go back. The big thing though that I wanted to talk about was the dream itself, and this is where the trend is. And it happened in verse 13 in the other dream that the angel is talking to him. In the dream, the angel tells him, your child and his mother. Why didn't he just say your son? Well, because Jesus isn't his son. Jesus is God's son. And then Mary is his mother because he came out of her. The angel is basically just re-emphasizing to Joseph that he is not your son, that he is God's son, and that he is something special. And that he's just restating that to show, and also in the Bible to show, that Jesus came from a virgin birth. Just restating it again, putting more emphasis on it. And again, in verse 21, we see Joseph, the man, moves again. Just doesn't even think about it. He's just out. He's like, I've done this twice already. We're heading out, Mary. Let's go. And I don't know what Mary's thoughts are throughout this, actually. That's probably a good question. I wonder what Mary was thinking throughout this. Like, man, we just keep moving, huh? And now, we have another new character. Archelaus, or however you say it. I'm not really sure. But it's Herod's son. So again, another bad guy. And he actually takes up after Herod. He's a very violent guy. And Joseph sees that this guy is now king, and he's like, hey, God, should I still go? And that's when God tells Joseph, like, no, go to Nazareth. And again, that's something great with Joseph because he sees that there's a trouble, something that's probably going against God's plan, and he stops himself and he asks God, what do I do now? And he answers him. And remember how I said I like names in the last video? Well, here's some names and its definitions. Nazareth actually means sanctified or separated. And if you know what sanctified means, it means free from sin or to declare holy. So it's cool how when Jesus is going to grow up, he's going to be a Nazarene. And Nazareth, Jesus is going to be free from sin his entire life. He's going to be sinless. And then another cool thing is Herod's son, Archelaus, or Archelaus, or however you want to pronounce it. I looked it up and I couldn't find a definition, a way to pronounce it. So I'd love to hear how. But what it means master of the people. So as a king, that's a very fitting meaning for your name, master of the people. Well, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back for the next episode, Matthew 3. And if you haven't seen Matthew 1, go check it out. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you watched all of it, hopefully see you next time.
Verdad y Vida Radio. Síganos.
Vamos, camino al cielo.